Hey friend, quick note before we dive in. If you've been laid off and are feeling overwhelmed, you're not alone. I've been there myself and have had to navigate this challenge. And that's why we built two things. One, our free school community filled with laid off professionals and partners supporting each other through the ups and downs of being laid off. And two, our layoff recovery course, a structured path to help you rebuild faster and move forward with clarity. Both links will be in the show notes for you to explore. With that, let's get right to the episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of the Laid Off Legends podcast, where we listen to layoff stories and relevant expertise with a focus on finding inspiration, guidance, and encouragement for the laid off professional community. I'm your host, Leo, a principal PM that was laid off from Microsoft last October. What happens when a 52-year-old IT vet with over 2 decades of experience gets laid off? She decides to share her story, and over 74,000 people show up, with over 2,000 likes and a wave of unexpected connection. In today's episode, we sit down with a woman behind the screen, the tech pro who built a career of over 23 years, only to have it come crashing down in an email. She cried, she shared her story, and now she's opening up even more about the lessons she's learned and what she wants others to know if they find themselves in the same storm. Kristol, welcome to the Laid Off Legends podcast.
Thank you. I want to bring you everywhere for my intros.
It's so good to have you. I enjoyed watching your video. It was emotional. It was heartfelt. You told a story that was very personal to you. And you had such a journey in being with the company for over 20 years.
A lot of time there. Yeah, that's the longest. I mean, obviously, the longest I've ever been at any one place. And before that, I kind of job hopped a little bit more. So that place
Well,
just stuck.
these are the types of things that accrue to such great stories. And of course, with those always come really deep emotions and attachments. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what your journey's been?
All right. Well, I'm Kristol. Professionally, I am now an enterprise business architect. It's a fancy word, fancy title for just bossing people around. I used to work for a different logistics company. I was there for 23 years. Started as a developer. That was my background, is IT development, but over time grew into a lot of different roles. My last role there was as a integration engineer. And yeah, they are a German company. So my whole team is in Germany. I moved back to Massachusetts when COVID hit to be with my family. My brother was laid off years ago, and they tell you about it and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that sucks." But you don't really think beyond that. It's a job, but it really impacts you. This was November 2023, and it's going to be 2 years this year. It's like an anniversary. It's really emotional.
It is. I remember my layoff date. It's like an anniversary where there was this pivotal moment that something shifted. And for a lot of our listeners, there was some post time where they had time to look for jobs and they were still on the payroll. But still, that date where you had the conversation with the manager and the HR person, it was its own kind of moment in time that we look at it kind of like before and after.
Yeah, exactly. And it is kind of a weird time thing because I did have a 2-month buffer. So I knew November 1st, and then it was kind of quasi layoff because I was still getting paid, still working. So I thought I was dealing with it. And then, January 1st, then I'm like, I have no job. So it was layered.
We all had that experience where it's like you wake up in the morning, it's like, wow, I actually don't have to go to that 9 o'clock meeting anymore.
Which is, I mean, that's an upside.
Indeed. Could you bring us in a little bit more into some of the roles and responsibilities you had prior to the layoff?
A lot of people say you can't be at a company for that long. This is why this happened. You should always jump around. And I'm kind of, thank you for the comment, but I don't find that to be true. I think you stay at companies because you like the people, but also for the experience. I did start as a developer. We walked in to build an app in-house, which we hadn't really done since then. And a lot of my developer friends don't do that as a rule. You usually have consultants do it or you buy packages, especially now. So to go in and be able to build something in-house with our own team, that was a huge deal. A lot of work. But development and then doing like project management, but not really project management. Not truly, it's quasi. And then just moving up senior level in development, which then moved into application architecture. I moved to a point where I was still in charge of the application, more gatekeeping it and just making sure that any business requirements fit in with what the application would be. So I ran all that for years and then eventually moved into being a team lead. So I did as a scrum master slash team lead. So I had to not yell at my team and yell at my team. But that was a lot of fun too. And then moved into another team as a lead and then eventually working with the team that was purely German because before that it was mainly people in Connecticut. So we had kind of changed things over. Whenever you get a new manager, new CEO, new upper management that comes in, they always want to shake things up. So we had gone through one team, one company. As part of that, we got shifted around. I was managing an integration app. So because of that, I got moved into the integration team. When that application was going to go end of life, they were going to move it to another team. I didn't want to go to that team. So I gave up being a manager so I could stay with my manager at the time, who was in Germany. He's a really good manager. He was very tell it like it is, always like, stop working overtime. You need to take your vacations, work for you. He is a great manager. I still talk to him. He expects a lot, but he has great people. Everybody respects him. So I went over to that and he did say, we're in Germany. My whole team is here. So just kind of watch out and keep your things up. I was on his team for just in that role as an integration engineer for almost 2 years.
Yeah, how did that affect your experience being the sole person in the US?
Luckily, I had a lot of people that I knew in the US. So although my team was mostly, I mean, they'd leave, I'd come in for breakfast like 8 o'clock and they're leaving by 9 o'clock. That's the end of their day. So I didn't get to build relationships as much as I think I would have if we were all in the same time zone or near to the time zone. But I still got to know people. We all got along. It was a great team. They're still a great team. I shouldn't say they were, but definitely different than my US fellow employees because I would talk to them all the time. It did help. It was a positive in one sense because although they were the integration tool, people in the US never knew how to get a hold of them or never thought they had support. So I was always like, here's the ticketing tool. Go do this. Here, let me help you. Let's figure it out. So they had a US presence. It helped with that.
And you've moved around a lot within the company. I mean, 20 something plus years. Could you talk a little bit about the culture and the team dynamics of the overall company?
The culture, well, it's odd because it's so the building that I was in Connecticut, they used to be a different logistics company. They got bought out by KN. So most of the people that were there stayed with the company over the years. So it's almost like a different company. I mean, they're all over the world. Their main company is Germany, Chandelier. They all act a little bit different. Connecticut kind of they're their own bubble most of the time, kind of doing things under the radar. But the overall culture, Can's very big. Am I supposed to be saying the name of the company? Is that okay?
Totally fine. Yeah.
Sorry. Too late now. I mean, all of this aside, because they weren't evil when I got laid off. I mean, my product group lead, I felt bad for him. So it's a great company. The people are great. That's part of the reason why I stayed there so long is that whatever was going on, even when there were slumps of, I don't like it here, get me out of here, it's still a great company and great people. They want you to do well. They're always trying to find some program to make things work better. Go talk to the person if you're having an issue and they want people to learn. It makes the environment better. If your people are learning more and they're happier, then they're going to do more. So they get that and they push for that.
I like that. And it's interesting about culture, as we've had other people on, including my experience as well. There's certain aspects of culture that resonate with us personally. The sharing of information, the challenging you to do better, giving you more
Yeah.
challenging assignments, a supportive manager. All of these things really help us thrive in different ways. And you staying with the company that long is unique. When you had offers or ideas to move to other places, what held you back? What kept you there for so long?
Towards the end of the time, I think I felt like I don't know as much as I should. So where would I go? That was some of it because in the last few years, there were a lot of people that were leaving at least the Connecticut office. So they kept saying, come to my company, come to my company. I was like, at the time, I don't want to be a manager. And when I left, I'm like, shoot, I still want to be a manager. But that was towards the end. Before that, I mean, I almost did leave about 10 years ago because their manager at the time was driving me nuts and I wanted to do something else. So I had a job offer. I was going to leave. I'd gone for the drug test. They were picking up my equipment. And my boss, whom working for again, by the way, had brought me in and said, the other manager, she was quitting as well. But that was in between me looking, and he's like, she's leaving. I know this has been an issue for you, but we don't want you to leave. I want you to stay. What can we do? And part of that too was having the drive at the time was over an hour. He's like, you can work from home for a couple of days. And this was over 10 years ago. And he didn't like people working from home. So I was like, yeah, okay, all right. Because he was an amazing, I mean, that's the majority of the managers that I had at KN they're fantastic. And I'm not trying to kiss butt in case he ever sees this. That manager, he is an architect, like super brain. He's just always been a fantastic mentor. So that was a big part of it too, because he put me into those different roles. I didn't want to be an architect anything. I wanted to keep coding. I'm like, someone's got to develop this stuff. And he's like, nope, you need to do that. And I'm like, but then I'm like, okay, I like this. The management, he pushed me for years and he's just like, guess what? You're a manager.
The shout out to all the managers out there who really identify talent, and there's a spectrum of specific managers who can detect potential and detect talent and really give you the roles or the responsibilities to be able to nurture those. And then you're suddenly surprised yourself, like, I
Yeah.
actually like this. I'm actually thriving in this. I didn't think I would
But
have,
I don't
but
tell him I did. I'm like,
okay, so now you're thriving, you're in this environment, but you were also having some tension. And this actually goes towards your layoff story. Why don't you bring us into that experience and how that went?
yeah. And it's goofy too, because I never really felt safe at KN. I didn't want to move for a number of years. So I did an over an hour drive for 11 years because I kept thinking I'm going to move. They're going to lay me off. Even with moving to Mass, I'm like, I'm going to get the house. They're going to lay me off. They had new upper management that came in, and right off the top, they're like, Psh, we're cutting things 10%. You figure it out how you're going to do it. You can get rid of projects, hardware, whatever down the line. The easiest thing is to chop people. And I had heard about it. It was mostly happening in Germany at the time, and I knew about it. It wasn't really rumbling around Connecticut, so I wasn't really thinking about it. I was very surprised when it happened. Surprised and not surprised. I mean, I always think like, oh yeah, I should have known it was going to happen, but I could still be working there now and going, yeah, of course I wasn't going to get laid off. So it seems like a weird thing to even say, but yeah, that morning was a little crazy. I was trying to think of it because I was trying to think every little thing that was happening, and I remember some pieces of it very clearly, and some of it is just like a fog. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's still emotional.
All of these things really do impact us in different ways. I want to go back to the sense of comfort that you had. You thought that you were going to get laid off, and it did prevent you from making certain decisions. You mentioned buying a house, etc. I'm curious, where did that sense of security come from? That, oh, wow, I could get laid off. Do I go look for another job? But you stayed. Let's say the false security that you had, that you didn't, it was happening in Germany, but you didn't think it would happen in Connecticut.
I don't know why I was thinking that, because they were very open that they were doing a 10% cut. And my boss had even been talking about people that he knew. He had said he'd gone in to their cafeteria one day, and there were like this upper manager just standing there looking lost. And he knew him, and he was just like, yeah, I got laid off. So yeah, it was crazy. So I was like, wow, that sucks. Like that's
Not knowing
horrible.
that
And then
this could happen to
yeah,
you.
duh.
Uh,
Yeah, I trusted that being in that group and the amount of work that I was doing was going to be fine. They are moving. I think they're probably still moving to a whole different integration app that they're doing, but they still have a lot of legacy integrations in place. So there was still a lot of work to be done.
Walk us through your layoff conversation.
Oh boy. So I got a last minute invite from the group lead and thought it was for a last minute team call. I was joking with my German teammates that that's it, I'm getting fired. Because I first asked them, like, why are we having a group meeting right now? Is there something going on? And they're like, what are you talking about? So I had looked at it and said, oh, it's just me. So I was just making a joke about it. But yeah, so I get on the call. It was basically within an hour of me getting the invite that was scheduled for. So it was an HR person. That's part of the things that I can't remember, because I would think that I would have checked who the person was because I didn't recognize their name. But I don't remember if I knew she was HR. She got on there first, and then my group lead got on the call after, and like I said, the whole time he looked miserable. I mean, I was trying to be like, hi, how you doing? Because seriously thought when we were getting on the call that he was going to tell me I had to go back into the office. That's what I thought the call was about, because my lead had been saying, you can't work from home all the time. They want people back in the office. I know we can't see you. You don't even have clients in Connecticut, but so I thought my group lead was going to be like, okay, I'm laying down the law. So I was just trying to be like, hey. So, but he looked super serious. I'm like, okay, he's ticked. All right. Yeah, and then he's just going through. We've had some budget cuts. We have to remove some people, and you didn't do anything wrong. He said that a couple of times, which I mean, it's nice to hear, I guess, but it didn't change the situation. I was still let go. Yeah, and then just HR stuff. She wanted to get on a call right after that, and I just remember I was trying to talk, but trying not to be emotional. So I'm like, I am not crying on this call, then I'm just trying to sit there like, okay, okay, suck it in. Okay. And she's like, can we meet? Can we? And I'm like, I can't listen to her. I can't talk to her. I can't get on another call with this person. I need a minute after. And he had to say, she'll call you later, or she'll work with you later, something like that. He was just like, I gotta get out of here. I thought he looked more pained than me. I probably, if I could see the thing back, they'd be like, wow, lady. So I don't remember all of it, but that stuck in my head, maybe because it did make me feel a little bit better that he said you didn't do something specifically bad. They were like, yeah, let's get her gone.
And what did you do after the call?
Well, as soon as I got off the call, everybody started pinging me because I had said I was getting, I was joking about getting laid off. So I was trying to answer them one at a time. And then everybody wanted to get on a video call to find out, like, what happened? Are you okay? So I went through that and I did start crying. And that whole team is male. I was the only female. So you get a man and start crying, and they're just like, okay, I gotta go.
It's sometimes it's awkward for us. We don't know what to do, especially when
Yeah.
it's remote. It's like I don't
Yeah. What am I gonna
know what
do? Yeah.
to do right now. Yes.
And it's at work. So it's like I never want to be emotional anyways at work. So, I mean, I don't know why I say men always get emotional. I don't like seeing anybody cry either. It's awkward. Even if it's a family member, you're like, pat, pat, like, are you good?
Hard to do that through the screen though. And
Yeah.
then you have distance, you have time zone, you have culture, all of it, just all in that
Yeah.
space. And so,
Yeah.
but
And
it
they're
sounds
all
like
like
you're
younger-ish people too. So I'm sure they're like, oh gosh.
it sounds like your team was super supportive, people reaching out, trying to check in
Yeah.
on you. How did that go?
I mean, they were being really nice, but I didn't want to talk to anybody. I really just wanted to get off the computer and just like
Hmm.
go cry for a little bit, just get it out and kind of try to process it. So I was on the first Zoom call, I was like crying and stuff like that. So I think I talked to at least two or three people and then just kind of left after that. And this is the part that I keep trying to remember, because I don't even know if I finished work that day or not. I feel like I was probably like I gotta finish stuff. I know I did take a break and I was crying at some point. I have two kids. My daughter's grown. They're both grown. So she came in at one point like, what's going on? Because I mean, I'll cry over anything, but I don't usually just sit there and start crying over things. As much as work can be frustrating, you don't usually get that bad. So I know I did at some point had to cry for a little bit. I don't remember if I finished work the next day. I didn't tell any of my Connecticut coworkers for I think it was probably a week or so before I said anything to them. And then I don't remember the rest of that day.
You talk about reaching out to some people and not wanting to talk to others. If you were to look back, how should people treat others that are being laid off? So people who are left behind, how should they reach out to others that are laid off, or should they? How do you think about that?
I mean, it's tough. And for me, I didn't want anybody to ask me about it. I did go to see everybody before I was leaving, and they had been told that I was quitting. Because I mean, saying layoff, people like, they get scared, right? So for that, I at least wanted to clarify, like, no, 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 this is the reality of what happened. But in general, I don't know. If it was one or two people that reach out and say, oh my gosh, I heard about this and I'm sorry, I think that's the tone.
Hmm.
Like, do you want to talk about it? Maybe just asking, I heard this happen and I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about it? Should I leave you alone? Maybe just asking how far they want to go with it, or I'm thinking of you, is probably enough. But I think if I had had like even five people messaging me one on one asking me about it, I would have been like, I'm done, no more. It's too much to keep going over and over again. It would have been quicker to just have them a mass can call, just all at once. This is what happened. Everybody got it? Thank you. And just let's not discuss this again. I do think about it over and over again. I know I probably talk about it too much in my videos with my family or whatever because it's still sitting in the brain. But in general, I mean, I don't want to keep rehashing it. I'm waiting for the time where I'm not thinking about it.
That's very healthy in the sense that you're processing it on your own pace. You're processing it on your own terms. I remember my experience, and I really anchor on what you said, where you tried to control the narrative. So how the story that's told when you're laid off, it could be managed by others or it could be managed by you. And I found in my personal experience that the better you control that narrative, the better you feel about it.
Like you said, you are taking some sort of control back because everything like I had no control over. I don't want to be here anymore. And I do, what you were saying too is the whole, what people think when you are laid off, like you did something wrong or whatever, that whole, I'm going to get, sorry, the whole shame thing, like it's a bad thing. Where I am now, people were, I mean, it's not like they'd be like, Kristol's joining and she got laid off. So nobody said something. It's just she's hired. So I had talked to, I don't know if it was my new man, whatever. I was talking to somebody about when I had left there and said that. And instantly they're like, I'm like, what's that? They almost have a different perception of you because you were laid off. And even when I was looking for jobs, it's don't write it on your resume. Try to shuffle it somehow so it looks like you're still working. So there's no question of that. That's been a big thing too. And it's with all the layoffs that are going on. I mean, I'm glad you have this community like this. And I hope with all the other videos and all the spotlights, the layoffs, that people start understanding a little bit more and giving a little bit more leeway on people, because it doesn't mean that people are poor performers or less than, or that they should be ashamed that they got laid off. It's
It's definitely its
irritating.
own experience. And I think that until you have it for yourself, it's like losing a loved one or a really bad breakup. Until you really experience it before you can actually articulate it for yourself and how you've gone through it. Same thing, the shame, the isolation, the fear, lack of self-confidence, self-doubt, it all hits you all at once. And I think that was the genesis for me when I thought about starting this community, because people shouldn't have to go through this alone. One of our guests reminded us that, over 40% of Americans have been laid off at some point in their career. And so the opportunity to normalize and accelerate people's recovery is something that's so important, especially now with the rise of AI and all these tools. I think we are actually facing a reckoning, which kind of leads us to this next chapter of conversation, which was, how did you cope post layoff? Really hard time, big change in your life over 20 something plus years. You were in this pattern and suddenly everything came to an abrupt halt. How did you start to turn the page in your career and in your life?
I think I ignored things for a while, but I think I did ignore things for a while, and I tried to compartmentalize it. I knew the first day that I woke up and I'm like, I don't have a job. So I'm very big on lists. So I just made a list like, you have to get a job, you have to do this, you have to do that. I mean, I had already been looking, what are all these things that we have to do? Let's continue, let's pick up the pace. As I hadn't looked for a job since that 10 whatever years. And whenever I had looked for a job before, they're pretty quick. I get interviews all the time. I mean, not every day, but pretty much you fill them out and I'm getting callbacks. So this was a rude awakening in itself. But I kept thinking, any day now, any day now. So because I felt like I was lacking, especially after looking at LinkedIn and seeing how different the skills are, I took a lot of classes. I wanted to get certifications to throw those on there. I did as many unemployment classes as I could, and just try to soak in all the knowledge I could so I could put it on the resume so I could feel better about trying to find the job. And then, yeah, just doing the list, like keep busy, keep track of what you're doing. I wrote down every job that I posted for so I could keep track of, you already looked at that one or you put that in a month ago, whatever, keep going. That was the big thing once I found out, as I hadn't used AI before knowingly. Before this, I found out about practicing for interviews with AI during like one of those unemployment classes. So as soon as I found that and started using GPT, I'm like, okay, we're on. So I just went full into that, just keeping myself busy. I
Hmm.
think I don't know that I would recommend it. I guess it depends on the kind of person you are, but I think it's important to sit in it for a minute. And I didn't do that. Maybe that's why it's still such a thing for me that I get so emotional with it, that I didn't fully process it. I think I should have just taken a moment and just let's go through it. it's okay, and just go. But I was just like, let's move, let's move. We got to get this going.
I think those moments never go away. I think if they did, it would be just like anything else. But the very fact that it is a thing, that means it meant something. The key thing is, all right, how do we process in a healthy way where you can look back and not feel the feels? So but everybody has their own pace of healing. Some people get through it a day, week, months. But I think the key thing here is you get through it in a healthy way and you bring that inspiration and joy to others that are kind of going through the same thing. You said you discovered AI and there was a burst of energy that came from that. How did you maintain your creative energy during those periods of uncertainty?
Well, actually, because I had so much time after that, I spent way too much time working. Part of having the layoff is just thinking afterwards, like how much time I did put into the job. I mean, the last couple of years, not so much because my German boss was very into you're not working overtime, not as much. But before that, I mean, I had years where I would work all weekend, like just straight 7 days through, even with the kids and trying to handle family and stuff like that, just trying to get things done. Insane hours. And I always thought I have to do this because, team player and all of that. So I gave up a lot of my time and energy to a company who, they have to earn their money and they're easy about just getting rid of people. So part of the layoff and keeping creative and trying to get back into things was thinking on that. Don't you look for a job? I need to be more mindful of me and my time and what I want to give up because I wasted time. I can't get it back, so it's whatever it is. It's a learning experience now. But what can I do with it now? So that was a lot of last year is all right, you're learning because I did at one point stop trying to get certifications and everything because I'm like, this is good for business and I do like learning about new things, but I want to do things for me, not just for the business. So I was taking design classes, and once I found AI, just going into that and seeing what can I learn from AI, what can I get into that. I mean, every day there's some new app, some new thing, some new level that AI is getting into. It still feels like magic to me that any of this stuff that's going on.
In one of your videos, you talked about the power of mentoring and how you like to mentor. If you were to look at people today who are working on the weekends and working nights and forsaking family obligations to punch the clock and work, what would you say to them?
Reevaluate. Seriously, reevaluate because if you're going to get fired because you're not willing to work 80 hours a week, I mean, job market sucks, but find something else. I mean, if you think about however much you're earning, if you just work 1 hour more each day, 5 hours a week, work for 50 weeks out of the year, that's a lot of time and money that you've given the company. And at the end of the day, they are just trying to make a profit. So you working that overtime is you're not making yourself any more valuable, basically. You're just making it easier for them not to hire the proper amount of people that they should have. I mean, that's salary. If you're getting overtime, then do it. If you want to work the overtime hours. But for salaried employees, it's just an expectation. And I think more for IT as well. People tend to think we sit in a closet when we're not working. They're like, you're doing a build on the weekend. No, I have a life. No, no, no. We're busy, so you must do a build on the weekend. I think it needs to be more pushback on that. I think you need to think about where you are in your life and family. Take some time for yourself. What do you want to be? No, no work involved. What do you personally want to be? Where do you want to get to? Because you don't think, I mean, even if you think of like 20s, I think even 40s, I still thought there's so much time left, right? I can get all this stuff done, whatever. And then now, I don't know why, after the layoff, I'm like, I'm 50. I mean, more than 50, but now, how old am I now? 54. There isn't like a lot of time left. I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, 20, 30 years kicking, but there's still a lot I want to do. And there's not as much I can do now that I could have done when I'm younger, just because, older, creaky, whatever. So I can't, I shouldn't say can't. It's not as easy as it would have been when I was younger. And I missed out. That's my fault that happened. That's not the company's fault. I allowed it to happen. And we don't push back because we are afraid. I was afraid if I don't work all weekend to do this, I'm going to get fired. They're going to let me go. And I don't think it makes sense.
I agree with you. For me, working more than 40 hours a week, somewhere internalized in my head was that's how you get ahead. That's how you excel. That's how you stand out. That's how you get promoted. And you could put your extra hours in, but as we're seeing, the ROI may not always be there. As a matter of fact, you may just get laid off despite the 2x time that you're putting in it. We should be getting ahead in the career during work, not after work.
Yeah.
And there's a school of thought there, and there's merit to going above and beyond that I agree with. But I think that there's also this interesting growing awareness that, the love that you're giving to the company, it's not loving you back. Those birthdays and holidays and events that you're missing with family and friends, you're not getting that back. And the company's not giving you that back either. Most of the time, the company doesn't even know you're sacrificing that very precious, precious time. With these layoffs, more people are realizing that there are boundaries that they need to remember and reinforce and enforce, because if not, companies will take advantage, and more often than not, they will not reward you and may lay you off for it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately so.
Which is fine, by the way. When people get so upset about, oh, this company, they're so mean, they're just making money. That's their bottom line. You're not their best friend. They don't care whether you worked 80 hours or 40. And actually, you have to think about it after too. It shouldn't take you extra time to do your job. That's their failing, not yours. If you've got too much responsibility, you're letting them have you do two persons worth of work sometimes, rather than pushing off and making them hire the right amount of people. That's their failing, not yours.
Were there skills or strengths you developed or that you observed about yourself that you may not have recognized but for this event?
I think just dealing with it and going with it. I think I found creativity again. I hadn't thought about it for a while. And then because I like doing design. Well, I say that and I haven't done anything with it, but I've always like, yeah, I'm going to do this thing. And then I don't do it. But the minute I was like, you know what, I'm going to do something for me. So I finally took a drawing classes. It's always been, well, I can't do this because I can't draw. And then I took the class and I was like, oh, I really like this. So it just kind of sparks that moving forward again. And then from the AI and thinking about what I want to do, just having more creativity. I think for a lot of time it was kind of dormant. I'm working, I'm just doing my thing, and I have the weekends again. So that was just, and then maybe just the realization, because I do push back now. Like I don't have a reason to work weekends anymore, as I don't have my own team. But when there's times where it's like, oh, we need to work whatever hours, I'm like, it's 5 o'clock. I gotta go, and I'm still there. If I get laid off, it's not because I checked out at 5.
You're touching on something unique and I think very empowering. And so that in itself is its own reward. It's like, I didn't know it was there, but now that I have to face this experience, okay, either we climb this mountain or go through it. But either way, we're not standing still here,
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of that I think that has been very valuable. And I've seen others, especially as they share their layoff stories. It's so inspiring how they have built resilience. They've said, okay, great, this happened in my previous role. I'm not going to let that happen again. And I think that in itself is instructive from so many other people.
So is that a common from each of the interviews that you've seen from the people that you've worked on, is from the layoff, they realize how resilient they are and that they're not going to deal with this again?
Yes. Yes.
I
I
like that.
found many times like unexpected resilience. All right, I have to do this. I have nowhere else to go. So I definitely
Yeah.
have to figure this out. A lot of folks have talked about this. Hey, they've been echoes for so long. It's time for them to find their voice. They've been
Yeah.
following. They've been in the stream, and the 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 sudden forced off the treadmill, like, hey, all right, what direction are you running now? Because we've been having you run on this treadmill for so long. And so I love what you talked about, and hopefully you'll share your story about design. And so it is a recurring theme on guests in the pod that because of the layoff, they were forced to rediscover what mattered to them. And I actually do believe we're going to see more entrepreneurs. We're going to see more startups. We're going to see more folks join smaller companies. The stronger thing is people will be more aligned to their values and what they really want to do, because they're seeing that many a times that's a recipe for disappointment and probably another layoff.
I hope that's the case. I also hope it's the case that this also pushes other people to band together and to stop putting up with being it's a force, but feeling like you're forced to work overtime and making up the shortfalls of these companies. Because in the end, they're making a ton of money off of free labor still.
The billions of dollars on balance sheets that are just kind of sitting there in cash that
Mhm.
could be put to better use versus laying people off. But subject for another conversation. And
Yeah.
so, but super, super interesting. And so you talk about some of the passions that you've been kind of working through and you've worked through this. How are you now capitalizing on that new freedom? What are you doing with your nights and weekends?
Most of it is content creation and trying to build this side hustle. I don't really like that phrase, but entrepreneurial, just trying. I want to get out of the corporate world and work for me, which, and when you were saying it, I've been finding that with other people too, is trying to find what becomes your main hustle because I don't trust it that it's a long-term thing. And I want to be able to rely on me. So a lot of that is just learning, anything AI. I use ChatGPT for everything. So I will, if I'm trying to learn something new, I'll go through them. Show me how to do, like, dumb it down for me. All of that. The design, I'm trying to get better with drawing. It has helped because a lot of my old designs, I would look at them and I have no idea what they are. So now at least I can draw a form so it makes more sense. So we'll see when I can get to sewing because it's all down the line. I don't know how to do this yet, but I do want to work on it. But right now I'm trying to get better with content creation, at least in the sense where I can put more content out because right now I'm at a month. I do it once a month. I know most people do it weekly. I do not have the time for it right now with the full-time job and I'm not giving up hanging out with my family. I pick my content items that I'm going to do and I make sure that that's done for the month. And the rest of the time where it's not family is what's this thing I can learn from AI.
You're really demonstrating this. The way I'm looking at it is really this gentle growing on who you are and what you want to do. And you're reinvesting in a lot of these areas that you may have neglected in the past. And so that to me is, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from that because there are a lot of things as well as like, I want to go do that, but you always tend to deprioritize it for like the thing. And so there's something there around keeping with it, even if it's small steps towards the right thing, the thing that you really want to do, which is really powerful. Are there any pieces of advice you would give folks that are still working today that may be concerned that a layoff may be coming their way? What advice would you give them as they start to think about potentially being laid off?
That you should make sure you have savings. If you don't have savings, put it out there. I mean, you should always have some sort of a buffer. Keep your resume updated. If you work on some new project, write it down. Keep it updated. If you're not on LinkedIn, get in LinkedIn and just every so often, even if it's every 6 months, just spend a little bit of time seeing what's out there in your field, what skills you're lacking, and just see, do I want to learn that? Maybe take a little time to learn something about it. Because if it happens, or if you get to a point where you're like, I don't really like it here, or you want to challenge yourself something, then you're a little bit more prepared. And especially right now, because like I said, I don't know what happened, if it's just been the last few years that this has been going on or longer, but 10 years ago, finding a job was a lot easier. I don't think it's just age. I know everybody's just like, oh, once you're over 40, I know plenty of people in their 50s that have been able to jump to another job. So I don't know all the statistics in that. But it is more difficult to find something to even get an interview. I see that across the board. Try to keep yourself up to date as much as possible. And maybe even once in a while just try to get a practice interview just to see how are you doing in the interview? Do you even get somebody to call you back for an interview? Like if you put a few feelers out there, do you even get anything? Because that's a good indicator of how your market is as well. Yeah, I think the big thing, save, keep some savings and just be prepared. And I think after, if it happens, then I think you got to take a minute and kind of sit in it. No matter the personality, I think you have to really acknowledge that it happened.
How has that helped you as you've processed sitting in it and acknowledging that it's happened?
I think some of that made me more realistic that it can happen again. So I'm on guard. I mean, I'm hopeful that it doesn't happen again, but it probably will. So I'm still recovering from last year, but I'm trying to get everything in a row so that I can put savings away. So at least in that regard, I'm not as terrorized if something happens again because I'm single. So last year was not, among other things, was not fun with money and all of that. I took money out of my 401k. So that's why I really push, like, make sure you have something in savings. And I know a million comments I had on my video about you should have something in savings. I know, I'm working on it, and everybody else should too.
It's real. Everybody's situation is different. And, your advice on just be prepared, that means different things to different people. But it's such sage advice because wherever you are, this is becoming more common. And rediscovering those passions that you have and trying to connect to those, that really brings a spark, especially when in the dark times, because it does get pretty challenging. Any advice you'd give to others when it comes to facing the challenging moments post layoff? Like, hey, you wake up in the morning, you apply to these jobs and the responses aren't coming and you feel down and like nothing's happening. How did you power through that experience and what advice do you have for others going through that?
And you just deal with it. I mean, you can take a second and say that sucks, but I can get pessimistic, but at the end of the day, it doesn't help anything. So it's just always, what are we going to do? You can wallow in it for a while. That's okay if you need a minute, but what can we do? What's the next thing? Maybe we look at something different for a job role. Maybe this one is not the one. Let's look around. Something like that, or find something else to put on your mind for a minute. I like to, to do that, but you just got to keep going. You're going to find something. I mean, even like in the interim, try to do a side hustle. If you do them well, please tell me how, like realistically, because I'm still having yeah, I think it's important just to acknowledge that this sucks, but also on the side of that, what can I do right now? What do I have control over that I can do? If I'm having a problem looking for jobs or I'm getting just nothing but rejections, let's look and see if still have emails lists that I get sent from LinkedIn from different types of job roles relative to the field that I was in, but more general that I could do, maybe not specifically what I wanted.
Mhm.
And it might be that you need to take something that's not really what you want at the moment and go with it. Because remember, you're just trying to work for a company so that you can get paid. It doesn't mean that once you're hired, you have to stay there forever. Because once you get hired, they don't have to keep you forever either. So keep the reciprocal love in that sense.
That's really great advice. A lot of folks have mentioned the need for that temporary perspective. Hey, I'm just going to take this for now. I'm going to
Hmm.
contract for now. It may not be my dream job, but I need to get this thing. And we're seeing more folks open. So thank you for sharing that piece of advice. It's reminding people that if the opportunity comes, take it. You're going to have something to learn. You're going to interview them just the
Yes.
same way they're interviewing you. And you can decide if you want to move forward with them or go somewhere else. But either way, you have your bills paid. All these other types of things take place.
Yes.
Rapid fire questions, Kristol, as we
Oh
wrap
gosh.
this up here. Best career advice you've received.
Career advice? Actually, best career advice has usually been don't stay too long at a company. I don't know why that's best career advice. I couldn't think of anything else that's like career advice. Do what you love.
Beautiful advice. Your go-to piece of guidance for someone on day one of their layoff.
I think just acknowledge it. Just take a minute for yourself. I mean, you can always the next day there's plenty of time to work on all the things that you need to get done. To just cry if you need to cry, go sit in your car and scream. Just kind of acknowledge it happened and you didn't do anything wrong.
One tool or resource you wish you'd known about sooner.
Well, the unemployment classes, I didn't know about that until late January. I mean, I didn't even get on unemployment until like February-ish because I didn't know that was even an option. So I would say I don't know if it's in every state, but if you are going through a layoff, definitely look for your state and see are there unemployment classes? A lot of times they're virtual, so you can take them and they do everything. And it's a lot of times you can even get classes from them. So that's a huge resource. Yeah, I wish I had known it sooner.
Great advice. The most valuable skill you've developed through this entire experience.
I think I stand up for myself more. So I'm more like so self-centered. I just need to be more about me, which again sounds like, oh, that's so rude, but you really have to be what's most important to you. You can't just be there for everyone else. I think that was important, an important learning experience.
That gem in itself is its own conversation because especially as we're trained to give so much in these employment situations and these work
Yeah.
situations and learning how to pull back the best parts of yourself and ensuring that you take that for you is incredibly powerful even now with this atmosphere we find ourselves in. And so that lesson continues to reverberate. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Everyone, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us today. If you enjoyed this, please like and rate to help us get more exposure. And if you have any questions or
Yes.
comments, please leave those below. I answer those personally and we'll tag
Be
Kristol.
nice.
We'll tag
Please.
Kristol as well. She's also a fellow YouTuber. We will drop her link to her channel. Some really interesting content there. You'll have links on the screen to our stories playlist. And if you'd like to meet other professionals and discover layoff resources as you navigate your layoff journey, consider joining our private school community. We have tons of resources and people to actually navigate this journey. We'll keep the links in below. Thank you so much again for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.